hope I live long enough to see what's going on in the deep recesses of space. I don't necessarily want to go there, but if I can see through the lens of a probe, imagine we send out a camera that can send us back information and we find life on other planets. That would be absolutely insane. This would change life as we know it, and we might have to make friends with some sort of alien race, and that could be a whole new species to learn about. But before we can get there, we have to send people into space to test the waters for us, and that is how we are bringing you today's list. Hello, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I'm your host, Che Dorena, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Today, we're going to be heading into infinity and beyond for the list of top 10 scary International Space Station stories. As always, guys, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell, and stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts, which you guys love so much. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram, and without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 10, we have alien music. This would be one of the better parts of finding intelligent life out in the universe. They would have some entertainment that you couldn't even imagine. Their music might be something we might not even be able to hear or understand. Oh, and the food! That's what I really want. I really want alien food. But let's stay on point. On the International Space Station, more than once actually, there have been some strange signals from the deep reaches of space. They have come through like radio waves and they sound something like alien music. And this isn't a new thing. This has been going on since the 60s. Now, there are a lot of theories as to what these sounds could be. Some people think that they could be an electromagnetic disturbance and there's nothing to worry about. But some of the wilder theories about these noises say that they're messages from the future or parallel dimensions, possibly coming through a black hole. But in the end, we have no idea what these noises are, so we're just gonna have to wait for scientists to crack the code on this one and hope that they aren't threats. Coming in at number 9, we have the snake. When you find out a guy's first name is Story, you probably think his parents are hippies and he's some guy who's gonna try and massage your aura, but Story Musgrave is very much the opposite of that. He's actually one of the brightest dudes around. He's a doctor with 6 degrees and he's been to space multiple times, which really makes you ask yourself, what have you accomplished lately? While out on the International Space Station, he peeped something out in the vacuum of space that made his mind bend a little bit. He saw what he called a space snake. He said he saw something flowing out in the void that seemed to have its own propulsion system, and this didn't happen just once, but on 2 separate occasions he saw said snake. I mean, what more do you want? An eyewitness seeing aliens in space, and the person who saw them is a genius. I would say that this guy is probably telling the truth. Coming in at number 8, we have CRAMPED. Have you ever seen one of those movies where people are on a space station and then things go crazy and everyone dies except for like one person? Well, this is the kind of setting for that thing to kick off. The International Space Station once housed 13 people at one time, and you might think, well, that's not that crazy. There's plenty of room for people to move around and feel comfortable. Well, not exactly. If we break it down, there's about as much room on the International Space Station as a 747 plane, just like the inside cubic space where you can move around. Now, add in the fact that most of the space in there is taken up by some sort of scientific instrument, and then add in the fact that you cannot leave the station whenever you want, and you have a good recipe for cabin fever. So far, nothing involving someone going crazy and attacking everyone has happened, but if it did, I would not be surprised. Who wants to be stuck for long periods of time with people that they don't really know? Coming in at number 7, we have solar speed. Who knows how fast the International Space Station is moving? Write in the comments below if you want to take a guess at the answer. The first person to get it right will be renamed by Elon Musk. And the answer is 17,500 miles per hour or 28,000 kilometers per hour. I hope you guys were very fast at getting into the comments because the contest was closed at the beginning of this sentence. How is that even possible? Well, thank God we have science to answer this question because God knows I had no idea 5 minutes ago. So the world is rotating, and it just so happens that this massive rock is spinning at speeds that would make your eyebrows peel off like band-aids. And that thrust from the planet is added to the momentum from the ISS propulsion system. So this begs me to ask the question, when are we going to get a Fast and the Furious movie in space? It's the only place you can be faster and more furious, which definitely needs to be the title. Coming in at number 6 is Veg 04B experiment. Now this is half scary, half the coolest thing I have ever heard. So what do astronauts eat when they're up in space? They have food that is designed by scientists to make sure that it can make the trip and give the space people everything they need to survive. Well, the 04B experiment was when people on board of the International Space Station wanted to see if it would be possible to grow edible plant life in space. Well, guess what? It worked. It isn't at the point where you can have a full-scale space farm up there with like cows and zucchini and stuff, but they have made some major breakthroughs. That is crazy. These guys can grow spinach up in space, but I can't keep a cactus alive on my windowsill. Now, why is this scary? Well, because this is how the movie starts. A major breakthrough in space food, then we GMO it, and then the plant monster comes to life and kills everyone on board, and then comes to Earth to harvest our organs. That's how it goes every single time. Coming in at number 5, we have hacked. You think being 400 kilometers from Earth would mean you don't have to deal with some of the small annoyances within the Earth's atmosphere. Well, it turns out you can't get away from everything. More times than you would expect, computer viruses have been able to work their way on board of the International Space Station. Man, if those guys can get hacked, then the incognito browser literally does nothing. This has happened 52 times, so this isn't just a little slip up. I know very little about how a computer works and how often it should get viruses, but maybe this is a completely normal thing. I don't know if it is or isn't. Being up in space maybe is just like normal life. You can just pee upside down, and that brings us right into our next point. At number 4, we have where do they get their water? A human being can only go about 3 days without water, so how is the ISS making sure that all the astronauts on board don't die from dehydration? Well, there is a very advanced filtration system installed into the spacecraft, and this allows them to reuse water. So every time someone pees, that gets put through the most advanced distillery machine ever created and then back into their mouths. Even sweat and condensation floating around in the air gets sucked out and pumped through this exact same system. Imagine if someone told you, I'll take you to hang out on the moon, but only if you drink this cup of sweat and pee. The question is, would you do it? But here's the thing, this process of cleansing the water is so state-of-the-art that the finished product is cleaner than the water we drink here on Earth. Coming in at number 3, we have the longest Russian spacewalk. If you're going for a national record spacewalk, then at some point you might have to pee. Well, if an astronaut has the urge to urinate, there's a system that is built into the suit so they can do so. But the question is, does that pee then get pumped out of the suit and into the filtration system? Well, that's a question for Alexander Miskurin and Anton Shkaplerov to answer, because they set the Russian spacewalk record while aboard the ISS. They were fixing an antenna during this prolonged exposure in the vacuum of space. So it's not enough just to go up in space, you gotta be a handyman too. Before knowing that, I thought maybe one day I could actually make it up there, but I guess it's back to rewatching cartoons I've seen before. Coming in at number 2, we have the floater. This isn't going to be that gross. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I hear the words the floater, I think about like a kernel of poo that won't go down the toilet. Now, this is about something much more scientific and way more frightening. In 2006, the International Space Station wanted to do a little experiment. They wanted to see if a spacesuit could be used as a satellite to send signals to other space stations on Earth. Well, the best way to do this would be through a test run. So they took a Russian suit and then jammed a transmitter into the helmet and then kicked it out the window and watched the thing orbit around Earth. I'm sure they did the whole process in a much more scientific way. Well, it turns out that this did work for a time until the suit came in contact with the Earth's atmosphere and burnt up. Now, this is creepy because if you were to check out the footage or the pictures of this, it would look like someone fell from the station and now is just floating helplessly through space. I can't imagine a way to die that would be worse than that. Well, there are for sure ways to die that are worse than that, but that is definitely high on the list. Coming in at number 1, we have wandering black holes. What do they do up on the International Space Station? Well, monitoring and learning about space is a big part of the whole process, and one thing that has been recorded on this space station are wandering black holes. Now, what could be a wandering black hole? I always thought black holes just stayed put and sucked everything towards them. Well, it turns out that is not the case for all of them. Some of them are moving through space and suck everything that comes in contact with their intense gravitational pull, but they're just wandering, so how fast could they be moving? Try 5 million kilometers a second. Maybe we should change the name to sprinting black holes, because wandering doesn't really do them justice. Alright everyone, that has been our list, and as promised, I'm going to be doing some more pet shoutouts. Remember, if you want me to shout out your pet, you can hit me up on Instagram Instagram. I pick new pets each day, so if you don't get picked one day, you can message back another day. I usually pick who has messaged most recently, so if you didn't get picked, you can message again and again and again. And without taking any longer, let's shout out some pets. To kick things off, we have Oreo, who's a baby Russian hamster. This little dude looks super cute. Then we've got two big old German shepherds, and these guys are so handsome. I love them so much. After that, we have Allie, who looks so good in this picture, just warms my heart. Look at how happy she looks. Next, we have River, who has an amazing scarf and some amazing floof. Very good boy. And to close it out, we have Lottie, who has the biggest eyes I've ever seen. What a cutie. All right, everyone, that is all we have for you today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I've been your host, Chade Arena, and keep checking out this space content. I want to do more space stuff. Bye. Shakoplarov. Miss Curran Shakoplarov.